Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Gunther, and today we're going to be working more on our realistic fiction. Up till now, you've done a nice job of really getting to know your character and describing your character and feeling the insides of your character, seeing what the outside looks like of your character, and really thinking about what your character might be thinking and what your character might be saying. Yesterday, we did our story arc, and I have Penelope's problem, and I think I have her resolution and how she solved her problem as well. And that took a lot of work. If you're not done with that, you'll want to finish that up today before we get started on our draft. But before we get started on our draft, I think one of the most important things as a writer is to come up with a catchy lead, so your readers want to keep reading your story. I know us as readers, when we pick up a book and it starts out and it's good and catchy and you just want to keep reading. And that's exactly what we want for our readers. So today we're going to talk about catchy leads. And our learning target is I can start my story with a catchy lead. Now, I came up with some catchy leads, but I realized as writing a realistic fiction story that I need to write my catchy leads with first person narrative, as a first person. So I'm going to write the story as if I am Penelope. So we're going to do a little bit of fixing to my leads. And the first lead we're going to learn is talking. And it says on your experimenting with catchy leads page that using dialogue said by either the main character or another supporting character to set the story into motion, to get it going. So their example was, "Wake up, you're going to be late for the first day of school," Samantha's mother yelled. My example was, "Come on, Dad, I'm all dressed and ready." And then it says, Penelope, I'm all dressed and ready to hit the slopes. Put a caret in there and add it on. And then it could say, "I shouted." Since I'm going to be Penelope in the story, then I need to use the words I, me, our, we. So I need to make sure those are all right as I'm writing. That's probably one of the hardest things for me to transfer into, because Penelope isn't me, but I'm trying to portray that as I'm writing my story. So that's called first person narrative. So you kind of have two things we're learning today. Now, a sound. A sound lead is a sound that helps the reader, that grabs their attention at the beginning. A lot of us do the one that is the example on the sheet. Beep, beep, beep. Samantha's alarm clock rang, waking her up on the first day of school. Now, my lead that I came up with as sound, it was kind of hard because Penelope is on a ski slope or snowboarding. So I was trying to think of sounds she might hear. And I know if some of you have skied or snowboard, you hear the sound of the skis or the snowboard carving the ice along the bunny hill or along the hills. Maybe not so much the bunny hills. They're probably not carving onto the bunny hills. But what I was thinking that she might hear was the sound of the tow rope. So if any of you have been on a tow rope, you can't just go on and grab the tow rope because it's moving, because then you flip and you roll off the side and fall. And that's what Penelope did the first time. That's where her problem just started, was trying the tow rope. So when you go to a tow rope, you kind of have to open your hands and you picture the rope moving through your hands and you're not grabbing onto it yet. So that's the sound I chose to use. And it's just kind of a shh. And the tow rope is moving through her hands and just gliding against her gloves, but she has not grabbed on yet. So we have shh, instead of Penelope heard, I'm going to change it to I heard as the tow rope raced in or raced through. I'm going to change that to through. Look, I'm already editing. Raced through her gloves before I grabbed on tight. Okay, so I'm going to write those words up here. I, me, my, we. When it is first person, we are going to be the main character. So it was shh. I heard as the tow rope raced through my gloves before I grabbed on tight. Now, a snapshot lead is when you kind of take a picture of what they're seeing. It's a vivid picture in the opening scene. So the example we have is, it was a crisp September morning. The sunlight shone through Samantha's window, waking her up. Birds chirped sweetly outside her window. So this snapshot, it was a chilly January morning. The big snowflakes were falling fast. The clouds were like a blanket covering the sky. That's the only one I didn't have any first narrative changes to make. And then we have action. Describes an action done by the main character. Well, Penelope did lots of tumbling, lots of falling, lots of getting up and getting down. And I have, instead of Penelope, let me see what we can fix. I raced down the bunny hill. Instead of her, we're going to change it to my. My eyes were wide and I had no idea how to stop. Now, that's true. That's a good action. She's panicked. We can see it. She's racing down this hill going straight. She doesn't know how to turn. She doesn't know how to stop. And her eyes were wide. So I keep debating on which lead is one that I think is the catchiest, the best one here. And maybe I'll go with, I don't know. I like my sound and I like my action. They're more catchy. I think I'm going to try to go with we'll go with sound for today. We'll go with sound for now. I can always change it because I have my catchy lead sheet. And if I decide that in my editing, I don't know if this one goes as well, then we can always switch it later. So once you're done with your catchy leads today, if you have time and would like to continue, you can start writing your realistic fiction. But what you need to remember to do, here's some writing paper of mine. I started writing it before I did my first person narrative. So now I kind of need to change it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my lead and I need to remember to do what? Indent. And then I'm going to start with my capital. So I'm going to do the sound. I heard as the tow rope raced through my gloves before I grabbed on tight. Okay, now as you can see, I also skipped lines, and I'm going to tell you why I did that. I'm going to continue to skip the lines throughout my entire draft. So when I decide I want to add in an adjective, I have room to write a caret and write under it or right above it. So today, we've started our draft. We have our catchy lead sheet done, and you're picking which one you want to start with. Now remember, it's okay if at the end of your story, you change it to a different one you came up with. But today, we're going to write it on our draft page. And then tomorrow, we're going to add on using our story arc. So today, all you need to do is come up with some good catchy leads that are going to want me to keep reading your paper. You're remembering that we want you to be the main character. So you're going to use I and me and my and we. All of mine were I and my so far. But as I continue to write, we're going to add in some more of these pronouns here. And that's probably going to be a tricky thing for you to do. So it's okay if you call me and we go through it together and I help you make it into I. Just kind of put yourself into that character and pretend you're Penelope. So I will see you tomorrow for more realistic fiction.